Okay, welcome to the call this evening. I am Elaine Mason. I'm going to be your host for the call this evening, and I'm just excited about all the people that we have who have joined us on this call. And, when I was thinking about just kind of kicking this call off and getting started, I was thinking back when, since I was a little girl, I've always loved to hear stories, have stories read to me, and I'm the same today. I absolutely love to hear people's story. I love to hear where they're from, what their journey has looked like, what their struggles maybe are. And I'm telling you, the reason I love to share my own story as well. And I think the reason why I love that is because it allows me to connect with people. I'm not a very good surface talker. So if you've ever talked to me in any length of time, I love to ask questions. And so to kick us off tonight, I can't wait to introduce two of my favorite people. And I know you're going to love hearing their health journey. And before I ask, the first person who's going to kick us off this evening is Karen Farrell. But before we have Karen start talking, like I always do, am going to ask you guys some questions. And so I want you to take a few minutes and think about these questions. So the question is, why did you join us on the call this evening? I know this is an incredibly busy time of year, and yet you've carved out, say, 30, 35 minutes to join us on this call. So maybe the person who invited you, did they twist your arm? Or maybe they've asked you to be on a call before, invited you to an event, and you haven't been able to come, but tonight you're able to join us. And so that's the only reason you're on here. And if that's it, that's okay. We're glad you are with us tonight. Maybe you're just somebody who's always been interested about health and nutrition and prevention, and you've heard a little bit about Juice Plus, but you really don't know a whole lot about it. So maybe you're just curious, and that's why you're on the call tonight. Or maybe you're like me. Back 18 years ago, I had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I couldn't get them to eat anything healthy. And quite frankly, I felt desperate and felt a lot of mom shame, thinking, oh my gosh, I've got these 2 little kids. I need to be getting them to eat their fruits and vegetables, and it's impossible. And so I couldn't wait to hear about Juice Plus. So maybe that's what brought you on the call tonight. Or maybe, just maybe, you're in a place in your life where your health is suffering and you're actually looking for answers. And that's why you're on this call tonight. Or maybe it's lastly, like me again, maybe you're in your mid-50s. And what is it they say that 50's the new 30? And so you're looking for a way to look good and to feel good. And so you're on this call thinking, you know what, maybe I can learn something. Maybe this is something that I need to know about and hear about. So whatever reason you're on this call tonight, I want you to know we're excited that you're with us. And I'm telling you what, you're going to walk away, I believe, inspired, encouraged, and I have a pretty strong feeling you're going to get some answers, and you're going to want to talk to the person who invited you on this call tonight, because I think you're going to want to learn more. But so for now, I'm going to turn it over to Karen Farrell. Karen I have is a new friend of mine, but I am so glad that she is in my life, and I cannot wait to hear her story. And Karen, please take it away. I can't wait to hear what you have to share with us tonight.
Oh, thank you, Elaine. I have to preface that if I sound a little nasally, I am. I had surgery 10 days ago, reparative work on my nose, so I apologize in advance. First of all, my Juice Plus story starts about 30 years ago when I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I was told it wasn't degenerative, but I just seemed to get getting worse and worse all the time. So fast forward a few more years, then I was diagnosed with the autoimmune disease, Hashimoto's thyroid disease, and still continued to get worse and other symptoms. Then I developed interstitial cystitis, which is an inflammation of the bladder lining, also autoimmune. Then I developed irritable bowel, Sjogren's, Raynaud's, rheumatoid arthritis, and then finally lupus about 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago. My symptoms included extreme fatigue. Not the type where you think, oh, I'm a little tired, I didn't sleep last night. I'm talking where you can't get your head up off the pillow, fatigued. I spent most days in bed. I would try to get up and get ready, only to discover that I was too exhausted from getting ready and had to go back to bed. On the days that I felt I could get up and stay up, all activities ended by 3 p.m. And by 7, I was generally back in bed again. Not always asleep, because you're always sleep deprived when you have these issues as well. So extreme fatigue was the first symptom. The second, probably the second worst symptom was the pain and aching in my joints and my muscles, every one of them. It just felt like I had a flu bug in all of those areas 24/7, 365. And that grates on you after time. I had severe brain fog, where I struggled for my words. I had a hard time thinking, and sometimes it hurt to think. I felt trapped in my own brain, if you will. I had migraines that were so severe, it felt like a knife was coming out from the side of my skull. And it was very, very, very painful. So adding all these things together, in and of themselves, they're not so bad, but when you add them all together, it's debilitating. I had hair loss. I'll just start from head to toe. I had sores on my scalp and bald spots on my scalp that my hairdresser found for me, bless her heart. Sores on my scalp, nose, and mouth. I had the telltale butterfly rash from lupus due to sun exposure. Not only was, because I'm an overachiever, mine decided to blister and leak. It was real attractive. And also due to sun exposure, I would get super dizzy, not just lose your balance dizzy, where your world turns upside down kind of dizzy, and you're so nauseated you want to throw up at the same time. And that was because of the sun. I had weight gain. I had chest pains. Once I was admitted to the hospital thinking I had a heart attack. That's how bad the chest pains were. Of course, it wasn't a heart attack, but thank goodness. But I'll never know if I really do have one, because the pain was so real. I had abdominal issues, constipation, diarrhea, and it would go back and forth, and you never know which one to count on. I had back-to-back kidney and bladder infections. I was always on an antibiotic, and my microbiome was just completely depleted. Just a mess. I had numbness in my arms and my legs, swelling in the same. I would get electrical shocks that would zap my jaw or my arm. One actually knocked me out of a chair once. I had numbness, arms and legs. I never slept a full night, and the symptoms go on and on and on. I knew I couldn't blame all of this on fibromyalgia, and it was definitely degenerative. So I contacted my dear friend, Dr. Trin Tran, who's a rheumatologist, and shared my woes with her, and she readily agreed to take me into her practice. And we began the journey of trying to restore my health. We started with the go-to product, which is called Plaquenil, or hydroxychloroquine. And it helped a tiny bit, but not enough. So she had to add leflunomide, which I had to have my liver tested all the time for it. It's pretty potent. And then we went to azathioprine, and both of those drugs didn't really do anything but give me other issues. So we had to pull out the big guns, which was Benlysta. And Benlysta is a biologic in the immunosuppressant classification of drugs. And I was given an infusion once a month for a year, When I would get the infusion, I would be so sick the day I got it and the next day. It would take about 5 days for it to get into my bloodstream. And then I was good for maybe a week and a half. And then I went the downhill slide back to 0 again until the next infusion. And that was for a year. I also couldn't be around germs. I was pretty reclusive that time. I couldn't be around sick people because if I did get sick, it could be fatal. In fact, I did get sick on a trip. I contracted metapneumovirus, and I literally felt like my organs were shutting down, and it scared me to death. So then I switched to subcutaneous shots of Benlysta, which was a weekly injection in my abdomen and or my thigh. It was excruciatingly painful. It gave me bruises and swelling, and the pain when that shot was injected into me was just awful. It stung and burned, and I just would scream. But that was for 6 months, once a week. And again, I would lose one whole day in bed because I was so sick from the medication. I have to say that Benlysta did work about 50%. I felt about 50% better. But 50% still an F. So I got depressed because I thought this was going to be the rest of my life. And that's not easy to handle. It's not fun. I got depressed because the phone stopped ringing. People no longer asked me to go places with them because they assumed I was resting. And bless their hearts, most of the time they'd be right. But it still hurt. And I don't know. It was just a difficult time of my life. So one evening about 8 months ago, I cried. I literally sobbed to my husband. And I'm not a whiner. I'm not. I'm usually try to stay pretty optimistic, but I cried to him at night and I said, I'm so sick and tired of being sick and tired. I told him that I wanted my life to have meaning again and that I wanted to contribute to the family rather than being a financial burden. Well, sorry. God was absolutely listening to me that night because I was desperate. The very next day, Dr. Tran contacted me and asked me if I'd heard of a product called Juice Plus. And I told her I hadn't, and I assumed it was something like an Orvie with the name juice in it. And she said, no, it was simply 30 whole fruits and vegetables that had been picked at the peak of ripeness, with the peels, piths, and seeds included, that had been dried, made into a powder, and encapsulated. And, well, who was I to argue? I had 8 things wrong with me. I certainly wasn't going to argue with my friend, let alone my doctor. So I asked her to order it for me. And I have to say, after eating Juice Plus for 3 days, that evening I went, oh my goodness, I hadn't taken a nap that day. And that was odd to me because I always take a nap, especially if I had something to do in the evening, which I generally tried not to do. I'm sorry. Just a little overwhelming telling all of this. But then let's fast forward 2 weeks. I had so much energy. I mean, I don't know where it was coming from, but I hadn't had that much energy in 30 years since I was first diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And my husband and I are downsizing, and we were packing and purging and cleaning closets, and I was just running around like the Energizer Bunny. And he said, what has gotten into you? And I said, Juice Plus. And he just says, well, keep taking it, because I was a different person. I was happy. Then I realized you don't think about that you're not in pain unless somebody asks you. And he said, well, how are you feeling? And I said, oh my goodness, you know what? My migraines are gone. My joints don't hurt anymore. I'm not aching like I was. And the swelling was going down. and this unbelievable energy. In fact, I had so much energy, I had trouble going to sleep instead of wanting to be asleep. But when I did sleep, I slept like a baby. And so I reported this to Dr. Tran, and she said, that's wonderful. And I said, you know what? Can we go off the Benlysta at the end of 2018? If I still feel this good? She goes, absolutely, that's our plan. And I said, well, wait a minute. How about at the end of the 4 months of the first supply of Juice Plus? And she said, okay, that's our plan. So she calls me at 3.5 weeks and said, how you feeling? And I said, it's great. Every day something else better gets going. And the best thing was my brain fog lifted. I literally could feel my brain working again. I could feel those neurotransmitters talking to each other. I could feel, I could use my big girl words again, and it just floored me. So she said, you know, if you still feel this good after the 3.5 weeks, go ahead and go off of it now. And I was, what? Go off of it now? Are you kidding me? No safety net? And I did it. I took a leap of faith. And what time is it right now? It is okay. So I'm telling you right now, 29 weeks ago, 1 day, 4 hours and 18 minutes ago, I stopped the Benlysta, and I never looked back. Yay, yay, praise God. So let me get back to where I was. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. That's me. That's not the lupus anymore. So after 2 months, Dr. Tran did my Vectra and lupus panels. And for the first time in 30 years, after just being on Juice Plus for 2 months, my blood work was normal, in the normal range. That's crazy. That's crazy. 2 weeks later, my eye doctor told me my eyes had improved, and 5 months into Juice Plus, my dentist told me that my gums had never been healthier, and that they for the first time they hadn't bled. So it's just these little things that just kept happening. It was the gift that kept on giving, and I noticed that my skin and hair started looking a little bit better as well. Since that time, I've not only did I get off the Benlysta, but I got off 3 other medications, and I'm on only half dose of 1 lupus med and my thyroid med. So no ifs, ands, or buts. Juice Plus has given me my life back, and I believe there's no mistakes in life. I'm sorry, there's some noise going on in here. I truly believe, well, I'm grateful to God for putting Trin in my life all those years ago, and for her putting me on Juice Plus, because it made all the difference in the world for me. I believe I was given a miracle, and I don't use that word lightly, because it truly has been a miracle in my life. And so when I ask myself, what if Dr. Tran hadn't shared Juice Plus with me? Where would I be? And the answer is simple. I'd still be on Benlysta, and I'd still be sick, and I'd still be in bed. To me, it would be a sin not to share the miracle that I've been given. And so that's exactly what I do now, is I just share this with anyone that'll listen to me. You know, I was once self-absorbed in my pain and misery and of all these diseases. And now, instead of being self-absorbed, myself is absorbing everything and everyone around me. That's my story.
Thank you so much, Sharon, for just sharing with us, and just the authenticity that you're willing to tell your journey and your story. And I can attest probably to everybody who just heard your story, just a connection to you, that that just for your willingness to share. And I think if you're on this call, you probably heard a lot of passion in her voice. And who wouldn't be passionate when you've had an experience like that, and just a transformation in your health? And I want to ask a couple more questions now that you're sharing your story.
Sure.
I want you to think about the story you just heard. And maybe you're on this call tonight and you're thinking, you know what? I want to have more passion in my life. Or maybe, maybe I want more knowledge. I get up every day and I'm excited about what I get to learn because I am on this mission of sharing an incredible product called Juice Plus that's having the kind of impact that Karen just shared with you. Maybe you're in a position in your life that you want influence. I think about when I'm gone, what kind of legacy am I going to leave? What kind of impact? Have I fully lived my life out on this earth? Maybe you need more time in your life. I know 18 years ago when I was introduced to an amazing product called Juice Plus, I was in a corporate job and I was needing more time. I wanted time to be with my 2 daughters. I wanted something that I could pour my life into and be passionate about. And maybe that's where you are right now. So there's another side to this mission that we're on of sharing whole food nutrition, but it's also being that person like Karen, who not only has experienced incredible health transformation, but she also has the opportunity to share her story with many people. And I have somebody else who I would love to let them share their story with you. Not only their health transformation story, and she's got a pretty remarkable one also, but also for her to tell her story about this journey of embracing this mission of inspiring healthy living. And I would just like to ask Brenda Proctor if you would just take a few minutes and just share the story of the impact, not only from a health, but also just from a mission standpoint.
Sorry, I wasn't unmuted. Well, thank you so much, Elaine, and thank you so much, Karen, for that story. It always just thrills me. I live in Indiana, and I'm a single mom. I've been a school teacher for most of my life. And as Elaine said, if you'd met me 15 years ago, I was dealing with a lot of health issues. Some of them were pretty severe. I had fibromyalgia too, like Karen did. But I also had, migraines, all kinds of things happening. And I had just recently been diagnosed with cervical cancer. And I was going to multiple doctors. I was taking 13 prescriptions every day and over 50 supplements a day because I was on a mission to be well. I was desperate to be able to live my life without pain because I was in pain every single day. And so during this mission, I was constantly reading, trying to find out, what things I could do to be healthier. And I was constantly buying supplements, that kind of thing. And not long after my cancer diagnosis, my brother and sister-in-law came home from a conference, and they were really excited because they had been introduced to Juice Plus. And so they showed it to me, and I'm like, fruits and vegetables, that's a no-brainer. I love fruits and vegetables. And, I pretty much live on them now, pretty much completely. And I've always loved fruit, but I knew I wasn't eating enough. And my kid and I lived on a lot of fast food, a lot of takeout and prepackaged stuff because I didn't know any better. And I'm no cook. That's also a big part of that too. So we all started on Juice Plus, my parents, my brother, my sister-in-law, and the kids. And I just knew it wasn't going to do me any harm. But honestly, I wasn't expecting much because I was already taking so much and feeling worse every day. But within 2 weeks of taking Juice Plus every day, I slept through the night for the first time in 20 years. I never slept. I actually woke up to the alarm clock and it scared me to death. And I was like, what's going on? And I noticed later on that week that my chronic pain was diminishing and my fibro fog was diminishing. And so I ended up getting the phone number, and actually Elaine was the one who introduced Juice Plus to my brother and sister-in-law, and I called her up and just asked, how much of this stuff can I take? And she said, it's just food as much as you can afford. And so we all started on Juice Plus, and within a year of taking Juice Plus, I was off of all my prescriptions, all my medications. Within 2 years, I was cancer-free. I never went through chemo or radiation. All I did was take Juice Plus. By the end of the 3rd year, I was pretty much free of the fibromyalgia, but it took me 4 years for my system to be regular. So as miraculous as Karen's is in that short amount of time, it took me 4 years. But I never felt anything when I took Juice Plus. I don't feel anything when I eat a salad either. But I just started feeling better. And so I've been taking Juice Plus, double Juice Plus and Complete every day for 15 years. I truly feel great every single day. You know, when I first signed this distributor kit 15 years ago, I just thought I was going to be able to get it cheaper. My sister-in-law said, sign up under me. So I did. And, you know, I've never been in any other kind of business. And I had no idea that this was going to be career number 2. That I was going to be something other than a 1st grade reading teacher. I've had no other business experience. I could never get excited about, you know, pots and pans or anything like that. But I was always looking for a way to make extra money. You know, I did a lot of tutoring and that kind of, and wrote curriculum and that kind of thing. And so I really never thought of this as a business. It didn't feel like a business. This was about helping people get well and stay well. And, you know, that was my jam. I'm really passionate about that. I loved all the products. I believed everybody needed Juice Plus, whether they knew it or not. And so as a resource teacher, I got to see lots of teachers every day and lots of people. And, you know, basically I want to know about people, you know, a lot like Elaine was saying, I want to know who people are. And so I would listen to their needs, because that's what we do in this business. We're a problem-solving business. We help people find answers. And that's one of the best parts of this business, is that whatever problem someone was sharing with me about, whether it was health, they needed a community, they needed passion and purpose, they needed money, they needed hope, they needed time freedom. The cool thing is all of those answers, all of those needs can be met with this business. I shared Juice Plus with everybody I knew. But that thing about the 3-foot rule really was true in my case. And honestly, my business grew without me. My team grew, my paychecks grew, and I live in a town that's a GM town. And when they left several years ago, our economy tanked. They closed 9 of our schools in 5 years. So the school climate was pretty depressing. But my Juice Plus business was just the opposite. Here was health, abundance, fun, great relationships, hope. So I began to dream, you know, maybe I really could retire. Teachers don't retire, especially single mom teachers. We don't retire. But my brother said to me, why don't you start putting your Juice Plus checks back towards retirement? And I'm like, okay, never dreaming. And so by the time I had my 85 points and I could retire, I had been able to pay off my house, pay off my car, and I was totally debt free. And so at that point, that was 5 years ago, I was finally realizing one of the dreams of my life, which was to be a stay-at-home mom, even though at that point my son was 29. He wasn't here, but I was a stay-at-home mom. And after being able to work this business full-time, after only 2 months, my Juice Plus check beat my retirement check. It has been the one of the most incredible experiences of my life. 2 years ago, I was promoted to the top level of our company with the benefits package that rivals or beats anything from Fortune 500 companies. And, you know, I often think, what if nobody had told me about Juice Plus? Would I have been able to keep working even long enough to retire, or would I be on disability? Would I even be alive? I was pretty sick. You know, I am never blasé about what this business product in this business has done for me. The Lord has used Juice Plus to restore every part of my life. Now I'm living my dream. I'm working my business on my schedule with the people I love. I help people solve their problems. I help them regain and maintain their health and vitality, which is absolutely one of the best things I could possibly do, be a small part of. I'm helping them realize their dreams as I realize mine. So this Plan B opportunity was and is my golden ticket. I have the freedom to give. I have freedom to go. One of my favorite parts about business is not only the education that we get, but the opportunity to build. Jay Martin's our president and founder. His mission statement was to build a stable and lasting company that would help as many people as possible realize their dreams. And he certainly helped me realize mine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brenda. Wow. Now you see why I talk a lot about loving to hear people's story. I think anybody on this call, you're going to walk away knowing Karen Farrell and Brenda Proctor. And y'all, I think as I heard both of you speak, the word that just keeps coming to my mind is hope. You know what? Without hope, I mean, what is there? And I think just hearing your stories, both on a health standpoint and on just an impact, the impact that both of you are having in your communities is, to me, is what we get up every morning. And I don't know about anybody who's on this call. I don't know where you guys are, but if you're looking for a community of people to lock arms with, that you can grow with, that you can learn with, that you can have impact, that you can have influence, that literally you can change people's lives, I just encourage you to get with the person who invited you on this call this evening and have some deep conversations. I'm not a shallow talker. I want to know people. I want to hear where they are. And if you're struggling from a health standpoint, I always say, I don't know anyone who adds 30 raw fruits and vegetables to their diet every day that you're not going to experience something pretty powerful. And I think you heard some pretty powerful stories tonight. And then speaking from someone who's been part of this mission for 18 years now, I'm here to tell you, I can't wait to get up every morning. And I don't feel like I've worked any day the last 18 years. I feel like it's been a calling and something that I'm passionate about. And if you're looking for a community of people to lock arms with and to change people's lives and have influence, then talk to the person who invited you to this call. We are looking for people to get this message out, and we would love for you to lock arms with us and join us on this journey. So thank you guys so much for being on the call this evening. And I hope you all have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. Thanks again for spending this last 35 minutes with us. Have a good evening.
Thank you. That was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.